You wanna share that bone with Papa? Do you?
My dog doesn't share food. So I wanted to make this video because in the past I tried to explain why the execution part of a design job is not so important in case there is no strategy behind it. In other words, making something pretty will not necessarily add value to your clients if this is not done with the right purpose. Very often when I voiced my opinion, some of the viewers thought that what I meant is that design is not important, which is obviously not what I've been trying to say. Yes, if you are a visualization artist and you make architecture renderings or product renderings, your renderings need to be outstanding. That goes without saying. If you are a logo designer, your logos need to be beautiful and creative. If you are a filmmaker, your movies need to be beautiful and they need to tell compelling stories. You see where I'm going with this. But as a designer, as a creative, if you limit yourself to think that this is all it takes for you to be successful in your field, you might be falling a bit short. A few weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast from Fabian Gerhalter, a brand strategist based in Los Angeles, and he said that there is no need for design without strategy. Now, Fabian wrote this book, which is called Bigger Than This. Soon I will have him on my show, so if this is your first time here, subscribe so to make sure that you're not going to miss it. Anyway, there is no need for design without a strategy, a phrase that I totally agree with, and I will try to explain why. Now, I have made my research on the topic and I found the Nichols Strategy Execution Matrix that explained the relationship between strategy and execution. Execution, of course, being anything related to the artistic aspect of a design job. So if you are a visual artist working in the field of architectural visualization, your execution will be renderings. If you are a logo designer, it will be logos, and so on and so forth. By the way, the matrix and more info about the author, I'm gonna leave a link in the description. You can find all that information there. So let's get to the drawing board and let's see how this matrix works and why strategy is so important. So the matrix is very simple to understand. Square diagram. On top we have the strategy. On the side we have the execution. Then we have a faulty column and an efficient column. Then on the other side we have efficient row and a faulty row. Now we will go in anti-clockwise direction. Usually working as a creative, the strategy is connected to everything that the client is trying to achieve, and the execution is connected to everything that the designer is trying to achieve. Now, very often designers don't want to take care of the strategy because taking care of the strategy means taking more responsibilities, and it means also to add risk to the work that needs to be done. The really big companies, the really good companies, they of course try to also work on the strategy because working on the strategy also allows you to make more money. So if you have a faulty strategy and an efficient execution, meaning if there is no direction from the client side and we limit ourselves to produce beautiful work, but again without a strategy, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. I don't think it is that hard for you to realize why that is. Basically, if you limit yourself to producing pretty pictures, but then behind what the client is asking, it's not going to get the job done, you're basically going to give a lot of value to the client, but the client won't have a way to use this value. A metaphor that I once heard that makes total sense to me, it's like putting the engine of a Ferrari inside a very old Fiat car. A lot of power, but no way to distribute that power and enjoy the performance that a Ferrari engine can produce. On the other end, if we have a faulty strategy and a faulty execution, you are basically doomed to begin with. Usually a situation like this could happen because the client comes to you, they don't really have a strategy, they don't know what they're doing, they're trying to save money on the execution, so they end up with very bad looking work without a strategy behind it. This could be caused by two main things. First of all, the client that doesn't have any idea what they're doing, or the designer that might be inexperienced, so he might be trying to get some work just to make ends meet, and as a result the project that is going to come out is going to look very poorly. Then you might have a very efficient strategy but a faulty execution, and that will produce a careless job. And this is very often something that can happen with a client that thinks that they have put a lot of effort in the strategy, and when it comes to the execution they don't really see value in whatever it is that the artists are trying to produce, so the outcome is often, it looks very poorly and it looks like the job is not finished. Then you might have a case where the strategy is efficient, the execution is also efficient, and as a result you are given a good start. And I know that some of you might have thought that this would have been an optimal situation, but you see, even in cases like this, it can always happen that the client comes to you with a very good strategy. You as an artist produce an excellent job, and then when it's time to put this strategy to market, you realize that maybe you did not have enough money, or maybe the big boss that is in charge of approving both the strategy and the execution, they kind of have second thoughts about it, so the whole project falls. This is something that of course can always happen, but you as a designer should always try and find yourself in this position, because obviously this is the best position to find yourself in all the time. Now I'm editing the video and I feel like I left out a couple of things which I think they could be very useful in case you find yourself in some of these situations, especially in this situation. If you as a designer realize that the strategy that you're working with it's faulty, you can still use your execution skills to influence your client and try to make them change their mind about the stuff that they're doing. So when you as a designer understand that your client is not using the right strategy, you have the chance to influence your client and try to make them change their mind about the decisions that they're making. That consists in taking some risks, but eventually if the project comes out successful, you'll be the one that they're going to be thankful to. And this is a chance for you to kind of like step up your game and become a little bit more of a design consultant and not just the freelance artist that does, images or logos whenever somebody calls them. Anyway, this is everything that I wanted to share with you. Of course, as always, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are. Again, thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.